What's up YouTube, this is Ryan from AnnihilatorMTG here, and I'm back again with some more Modern. This week we're going to be playing Red-Green Titanshift. This deck, much like Tron, is sort of the black sheep of the format. It's wildly effective and for the most part always has been, but monotonous play patterns and an overall resiliency makes this deck anything but a fan favorite. So why am I playing it? Well, there's two main reasons. First and foremost, I go back to this deck every now and again because it was my best friend's go-to build when we would grind various SCG Opens and GPs. Some of my fondest memories are practicing blue-white control or Jund against this deck at his kitchen table, hoping that the two of us would make it all the way to day 2 and make a name for ourselves. The second reason is a lot more straightforward. Titanshift can be a silver bullet at times, and honestly, the meta is looking pretty good right now. There's been a massive uptick in aggro and Eldrazi Tron, and I like our chances against both of those decks. One of my favorite things about this build is the flex slots. Once you have your ramp and your payoffs in order, the rest of the deck can be tailored to your every need. I've chosen to go with the 2-2 split of Sudden Shock and Chandra Torch of Defiance. Sudden Shock has proven to be an absolute house against Prowess, and it's pretty great against Heliod as well. And with this deck, if you have to go to the Dome, that's fine too. Chandra, on the other hand, is a great all-around threat and can be a massive pain to control players. After all, if they're countering a Chandra, they're giving up an answer to one of our finishers, and that's a risky endeavor. Right now, I'm a little bit more concerned with the all-in aggro decks. It is worth noting that we're going to be using a full playset of Lightning Bolts. You'll often see a mix of Bolt and Relic in the main board, but honestly, this is one of those builds where I'm not utterly terrified of Dredge, and right now I'm much more concerned with the aggro decks. All in all, I'm pretty excited to play this deck again, so let's hop into the first match and see how we do. Okay, looks like we found our opponent here. Best of luck to you, my friend, and this hand looks pretty good. Let's get things going with a tap Stomping Ground, and we'll pass. They play a Copperline Gorge, then they cycle a Forgotten Cave. Sure. We draw Steve. Let's play the castle, and then we'll cast him. And I guess we just pass. I assume that our opponent's playing Dredge. Next up, they play a Wooded Foothills, no problem. During their end step, we're going to sack the Steve and find a mountain. We draw a Summoner's Pact. Let's cast a Farseek. We'll grab a Sheltered Thicket. Then we'll play the Valakut, and we'll ship it right back. During our end step, they crack the Wooded Foothills, finding themselves a tap Stomping Ground. Then we see a Sacred Foundry. Okay, that's different. There's a Thrilling Discovery. They gain some life. They start dredging. They hit a Creeping Chill, and it looks like they're passing. We draw another Steve. Let's activate the castle, then we'll jam the Titan. We'll grab a couple of lands, and then we'll send it back. They dredge some more. We see a Narcomoeba and a bunch of Prized Amalgam triggers. Then there's a Creeping Chill. That'll take us down to 14. They cast a Life from the Loam. Then they cycle a Forgotten Cave, hitting another Creeping Chill. That brings us down to 11. They play a basic mountain. They've got 9 cards in hand. They're going to get back a bunch of Prized Amalgams. No problem. Then they go to discard. We draw another castle. Let's play it. Then we'll swing in with the Titan. We'll grab the other 2 Valakuts. That takes them down to 22. Let's float a bunch of mana. Then we're going to cast a Scapeshift, and they scoop it up. Nice. So I think in this matchup, we want to bring in the Relics and the Angers. I think we can very reasonably cut the Chandras and the Sudden Shocks. We could cut the Lightning Bolts for things like Weather the Storm, Unravel the Aether, or like a Veil of Summer, but I don't think that's super necessary. Yeah, this looks good. We'll submit. I don't think we can keep a 1-lander, and I really don't think we can keep a no-lander. Yeah, this is not great. I think we'll keep just because we sort of have to. We'll ship the Scapeshift and the Pact. And at this point, we're just hoping for an untapped land. And we unfortunately just find a Valakut. They crack their Bloodstained Mire and find themselves a tapped Sacred Foundry. Then we see a Copperline Gorge. Here comes the Cathartic Reunion, or maybe the Thrilling Discovery. Yes, indeed. They dump a Golgari Thug and a Narcomoeba. Then they start dredging. We see double Narcomoeba. Alright, we draw a Search for Tomorrow. Let's play the Relic. Then I guess we're just going to activate it, targeting them. They exile a Cathartic Reunion. Now, Dredge plays a good amount of artifact removal in the sideboard, so we're not exactly safe. They swing in immediately. That takes us down to 18, and then they just pass. Wow. Well, we're continuing our tradition of not drawing lands in our lands deck. We find a Scapeshift, so I guess we just pass. They dredge. Think we're just going to pop the Relic. There's a land. The Creeping Chill fizzles. They play a Cathartic Reunion, then they dredge. They find double Creeping Chill. Then they swing in for an attack. I think we're going to bolt one of the Narcomoebas. That brings us down to 11. We find a Farseek. Let's play and crack the Foothills. Gonna grab a Forest. Then we'll cast the Steve. They've got 8 cards in hand. I think they've hit 3 of their 4 Creeping Chills. They cast a Life from the Loam targeting 1 land. Then they play Wooded Foothills. They swing in for 1 with the Narcomoeba. That'll bring us down to 9, and then they pass. During their end step, we're going to crack the Steve, finding ourselves another forest. We draw a Lightning Bolt. That's not terrible. Let's cast the Search for Tomorrow, then the Farseek. We'll grab the Sheltered Thicket, and then we'll pass. During our end step, they crack the Wooded Foothills, finding themselves a Sacred Foundry. Fair enough. Let's see where they go from here. They escape an Ox. Then they discard every Dredger known to man, hitting a Narcomoeba and a Creeping Chill. They've got a billion triggers. They choose not to attack with the Narcomoeba. That's different. Then they bring back their Amalgams. We draw a Mountain. Let's cast an Anger, and we clear the board. I guess we just pass? We can't win right away with the Scapeshift. We need a few more lands, but they've got, what, like 3 cards left? We draw Steve. Okay, this can work. Let's sack him. We grab a basic. Then we're going to cast the Scapeshift, sacking everything that isn't the Valakuts. We grab a bunch of mountains, and we start targeting our opponent. This might take a while, and we take him down to 0. GG's. Okay, looks like we found our opponent here. Best of luck to you, my friends, and this hand looks pretty good. We'll keep. Let's start things off with a Cinder Glade. They lead with an Inspiring Vantage into a Swift Spear, sure. They swing in for 1. That takes us down to 19, and we draw Titan. Nice. Let's play the Mountain. Then we're going to cast the Steve. Being able to have a free blocker in this situation is super good. They play and crack a Wooded Foothills, finding themselves a basic Mountain, and they play a Leonin Lightscribe. Looks like they're moving in for attacks. Let's block. Then we're going to sack the Steve, grabbing another basic Mountain, and we find a Valakut. Excellent. Let's play the Castle. Then we're going to hardcast the Search, find ourselves a basic, then we cast the Farseek. Think we're just going to grab a Sheltered Thicket, and we should be good to go. Now, of course, with these new Strixhaven cards, things can get very explosive, so we're not out of the woods just yet, but still, I'm optimistic. They start things off with a Sunbaked Canyon, then they play a Manamorphose. Because they're taking themselves down to 18, I just have to assume that they have it. Then we see a Clever Luminancer. They cast a Lightning Bolt, netting them a bunch of triggers. Then we see a Mutagenic Growth. We are just super doomed, aren't we? They've got 14 damage available to them, 1 more spell and we're toast. Ooh, maybe not. They swing in, that takes us down to 2, and are we good? No way. Let's get things started with a Steve, and we'll cast the Scapeshift. We'll sack everything except for the Valakut. We grab 6 mountains, and they scoop it up. Nice. So honestly, I feel like we're in a phenomenal position against their deck. I think we're going to cut these Chandras and definitely bring in the Weather the Storms. I think Angers are fantastic as well. And we might be able to just get away with cutting like maybe 2 copies of Dryad and like a Farseek. Yeah, that looks good. This hand looks super nice. We'll keep it. They get things started with an Inspiring Vantage and nothing else. We draw a Castle. Let's play a Stomping Ground, then we're going to suspend the Search, and we're on our way. Can't believe they didn't have a 1-drop. They jam a basic Mountain into the Lightscribe. We draw a Lightning Bolt. That'll work. Let's play the Castle, and then we're going to hold up either the Bolt or the Sudden Shock. Most likely the Sudden Shock. Well, they cast the Manamorphose. Let's give them the surprise. We'll cast the Sudden Shock. Nice. The Lightscribe dies. They make 2 red mana. Then they cast a Lightning Bolt, and we see a light up the stage. We'll cast the Search during our upkeep, grabbing a Mountain. Then we find a Farseek. I think we're just going to play the Dryad. Then we're going to play both of our lands with a Stomping Ground untapped. We see a Wooded Foothills. They crack it for another basic. Then they cast the Lightscribe, and then the Lightning Bolt. No problem. During their end step, we're going to cast a Bolt at their face, and I think we have lethal. We'll play the Valakut, and then if I'm not mistaken, we should be able to just cast the Scapeshift and then just get 6 lands, and since they're all going to count as mountains, we'll be good to go. Let's grab 3 Valakuts. Then we're going to go Sheltered Thicket, probably like a basic forest, and then a mountain. Yep, that's a billion triggers. And they gracefully scoop it up. GG's. Okay, looks like we found our opponent here. Best of luck to you, my friends. And this hand looks pretty good. We'll keep it. Seems they kept 7 as well. They lead things off with a Bloodstained Mire into a Blood Crypt, and then we see a Thoughtseize. They take the Steve. Sure. We draw another basic. Let's play a tap Cinder Glade, then we'll pass. They jam an untapped Steam Vents into a Dreadhorde. Okay, that's pretty cool. And we draw a Lightning Bolt right on time. Let's cast it. The Dreadhorde dies. Hopefully that can slow them down a bit. They play an Arid Mesa into another Dreadhorde. That's kind of annoying. And wouldn't you know it, we find another Lightning Bolt. So let's play a basic forest, then we're going to jam the Dryad. That way we can play another mountain. Beautiful. And I think I want to wait for their fetch. They crack it during our end step. Let's cast the Bolt targeting the Arcanist, and it dies. Nice. They find an untapped Blood Crypt, and then they push our Dryad. Our opponent plays a Quicken. You don't see that every day. Then they cast a Spell Bomb. They crack that immediately. And then I guess they're just going to jam the Flooded Strand and pass. We draw Wooded Foothills, so I think what we're going to do here is just cast the Summoner's Pact, Then we find the Dryad, let's jam him. We play the fetch, target them with the trigger. They crack their Flooded Strand, finding themselves a Watery Grave tapped, and honestly, I don't really know how they get out of this one. This seems like a very unfortunate position for them to be in. Losing back-to-back Arcanists and just being behind on life, that's really tough. They tap 2 mana, then they cast a Kroxa. That'll bring us down to 17. Then they play a Swamp, and they pass. Let's pay for the Summoner's Pact, and we draw Steve, okay. We'll crack the fetch and find ourselves a Mountain. That'll take them down to 3. Then we cast the Steve, and they scoop it up. So in this matchup, I think we want to cut the Sudden Shocks almost immediately. We can bring in the Relics in their place. I also think that we want the Veils for sure. I think the Chandras are too slow, and I think we can trim on like 1 copy of Dryad. The question is, do we want Angers? And I don't think we do. Yeah, that looks pretty good. We'll submit. So this hand is definitely slow, but I don't really want to mulligan in the face of a Thoughtseize. Speaking of which, they play an untapped Watery Grave into a Thoughtseize. They take the Dryad. We draw a basic Mountain. I think we're going to play one of them, then we'll jam the Relic. We'll tap it to exile the Thoughtseize. They just hard pass. Alright, well that's unfortunate for them. So let's play the Wooded Foothills, which we're going to crack for a Stomping Ground. Then we're going to cast a Farseek, finding ourselves a Sheltered Thicket. Looks like they found a land. They play and crack the Flooded Strand. Let's activate the Relic. They find themselves an untapped Steam Vents, then they play a Dreadhorde. No problem. Ooh, and we draw a Veil. Nice. We'll cast the Farseek, grab a tap Stomping Ground, and we'll hard pass. I really have no idea how they're supposed to get out of this one. They play an untapped Watery Grave, then they swing in with a Dreadhorde, and then during their second main phase, they cast a Shadow. Okay. And we draw Prime Time. Excellent. Let's cast it. We'll find a Valakut and a Mountain. That way we can kill the Dreadhorde, and then we'll pass. They play and crack a Bloodstained Mire. Let's tap the Relic. They find themselves a Blood Crypt. They cast Lightning Bolt number 1. Then we see a Snapcaster Mage. They flash back the Lightning Bolt, and the Titan dies. They quickly move in for attacks. That takes us down to 11, and we should be good to go. First things first, I want to pop the Relic. We draw a Mountain. Let's cast the Scapeshift, and it looks like they scoop it up. GG's. Okay, looks like we found our opponent here. Best of luck to you, my friend. And this hand is certainly land heavy, but I think we can make it work. Let's get things rolling with a Wooded Foothills, then we'll pass. Our opponent leads off with a Power Plant. Okay. During their end step, we're going to crack the fetch and find ourselves a Sheltered Thicket. We draw Valakut. Let's play a basic Mountain, then we're going to cast the Farseek, finding ourselves a Cinder Glade. This is more or less just a race at this point. Next, we see an Eldrazi Temple. They cast a Matter Reshaper. We unfortunately draw basic, so I think we're just going to play the Valakut, then we'll pass. We see another Urza land and then a Maze Mind Tome. That's not too bad. They swing in for 3. That'll bring us down to 16. We draw Scapeshift. That'll work. So I think we're just going to play the tap Stomping Ground and we'll ship it right back. During our end step, they scry. We see Power Plant number 2. Then they cast a Reality Smasher. They swing in. That takes us down to 8. So I think we just have this. Let's cast the Summoner's Pact. We're going to grab a Dryad. Then we cast him. Let's play a basic. That deals 3. Then land number 2. That deals another 3. And then we cast a Scapeshift. We'll grab 3 Valakuts and 3 Mountains, and they scoop it up. Nice. So in this matchup, we're going to cut the Sudden Shocks, the Chandras, and like 1 copy of Lightning Bolt, all in favor of the 3 copies of Wildfire and 2 Unravel the Aethers. Yeah, that should work. We'll submit. Well, I don't think we're going to keep a 1-lander. This is certainly better. Think we're just going to ship the Valakut. They get things started with a Power Plant, nothing else. We draw a basic Mountain, so let's play a tap Stomping Ground, then we'll pass. They play their second piece, then they pass. We're drawing some more lands. Let's hit their mind with a Wildfire. We keep drawing lands. Looks like they're playing a Blast Zone into a Matter Reshaper. No problem. We draw a Lightning Bolt. Let's cast a Farseek. We'll grab the Sheltered Thicket, and we'll pass. We see an Urza's Tower, then they're tapping for 4, and they cast a Thought-Knot Seer. That's fine. They take the Scapeshift. Then they swing in with a Matter Reshaper. That takes us down to 17. We draw Valakut. Let's play it. Now this is just the waiting game. They swing in for 7. Think we have to Lightning Bolt the Matter Reshaper. They reveal a Nugan. The Thought-Knot Seer takes us down to 13. They cast a 4-mana Karn. Then they search up a Witchbane Orb. Let's see if we can get out of this one. And we draw Farseek, so that's not going to work. Guess we're just going to scoop it up. I really don't think we need to change all that much, so we're just going to resubmit. Well, we definitely can't keep this one. And this isn't much better, but I don't really want to go down to 5. So we'll keep it, then we'll ship the Valakut. Let's lead off with the Foothills, and then we'll pass. They play a Scavenger Grounds, sure. During their end step, we're going to crack the fetch and find ourselves a Sheltered Thicket. And we draw Farseek, nice. Let's cast it, then we'll grab a Cinder Glade, and we'll pass. Next up, we see an Urza's Mine and not much else. We draw Scapeshift, excellent. Let's cast the Dryad, then we'll play a tap Stomping Ground. They play a Blast Zone, and they just pass, wow. Let's play an untapped Stomping Ground. We get a trigger. I think I want to bait out the Dismember, so let's swing in. That takes him down to 15. So now we're going to play the Summoner's Pact and find the Prime Time, and we're going to cast him instead of the Scapeshift, because I'm worried about them potentially having Warping Wail. We'll grab the 2 Valakuts, and we'll stack the triggers. Let's see if they have something. And with the triggers on the stack, they AFK until they time out. GG's, I guess. And there we have it. I'll tell you, there's something about this deck. Having an extreme level of consistency while also positioning yourself favorably against some of the more scary decks in the format, man, that's crazy. Once again, I want to apologize if this video was a little bit shorter than you'd want. As it turns out, my easy week ended up being just as stressful as the last one, so here's hoping that lets up soon. If you enjoy my content, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. This stuff really does help, so thank you. And as always, stay safe out there and have a good one.